rounds in front of the Spanish Town police station Thursday night. The police high command believes the Klansman gang is behind the attack. They've been expecting some form of attack since early in the week when the high command raised the threat level against officers in parts of St. Catherine to extreme. A statement from the high command says police will not cower in the face of these attacks and will respond appropriately and professionally. They're already listing several persons of interest. Amal Roman, otherwise called Satan, and Navardo Hodges, otherwise called DJ, are both wanted.
People, welcome back to Politics Watch. This is Sir P. Today I'm going to talk about the most enigmatic member of the brutal Klansman gang. His name is Navardo Hodges, aka DJ. Now, one of the ways scientists treat people who are bitten by venomous snakes is to use the same venom from the snake and create what is known as anti-venom. In my opinion, we might just have to use some of these 87s to develop a generation of young men who are anti-87s. Same principle like the anti-venom. See, these youths don't listen to their parents, especially to their mothers. They don't listen to people who they perceive to be quote-unquote nerds in society. They listen to the people who they want to be like. Maybe from the grave, some 87s, through their own life story, can show these youths the real face of badness. Not that nonsense you hear in music and see in the movies, but the real life of crime and violence, and not just the effect it have on the families of the people these 87s kill, but even the 87s themselves. And every now and then, an 87 turn up who can be used as the poster child to show other youths that listen, that is no lifestyle you want to get involved in. Stone Crusher had Cedric Doggy Murray. Klansman had Navardo Hodges. Now on the screen right now, you're looking at two of the most dangerous young men Jamaica has ever produced. On the left is Joel Jennings, aka JJ Knockis. Right. On the right is Navardo Hodges. These two had more in common than just being a part of Klansman. They were actual relatives. And even if you look at their pictures, the way with the two of them mouth open, coupled with the fact that they both have that 1,000-yard stare, you can already imagine what the people of St. Catherine were going through when both of them were alive and operating at the very same time. So how did Navardo Hodges end up becoming, by the time he lost his life, one of the most wanted men in Jamaica? Well, like most 87s, grew up mostly with their mother, and as you can imagine, they were not exactly living a life of luxury. And Hodges, like many young men across Jamaica, from an early age, had to start getting ready to be a provider in his home. See, young men in Jamaica who should be focusing entirely on what they want their future to be like, which career they want to be like, some of them end up have to grow up and become man from a young age because they have to go look it and provide for mommy. Even though they are sons, they often end up play the role of some kind of pseudo husband in the house. Right. Now, Navardo Hodges did get a chance to go to school, right? When his mother couldn't find him, right, there were other people in the community like a man like Bulla and them man there, who helped send Hodges and others to school. So he was not illiterate and actually displayed a fairly decent level of reasoning ability, especially compared to some of the men them who did around him. So why did I give Hodges the title of the most enigmatic member of Klansman? Well, most 87s are a dime a dozen. They walk the same, talk the same, brag about the same thing. Like once you heard one, you've heard most. The only thing that changes is the name and the location of the victims. See, a typical 87 will brag about who them kill and tell us that them not have feelings in their body, and then they kill man, woman, dog, animals, and it have no effect on them whatsoever. There's usually a lot of bravado, a lot of fake macho, fake tough guy, nothing about me. Right? That's usually what they present on the exterior. Who knows what happened at night time when time them go lie down on them pillow, but that's what they present to the world, that's what they present to their communities. Right? Them the business about nothing. But every now and then, we see at 87 who wear their emotions on them sleeve. And 87 that is capable of expressing what they are feeling in such a way that it paints a vivid picture for the others around him. Nevada Hodges was one of those individuals. He seemed to have a complex personality. There was a duality to him. And I'm going to tell you some of the acts he carried out so that by the end of the video, you can see why he is truly an enigma. The people who knew him personally could not fully understand him because his actions ranged from cold-blooded murderer to somebody who, if you never know him named Nevada Hodges, you might think he's some kind of crusader on a mission to save lives. Now, after officially joining Klansman and proving himself, Nevada Hodges quickly rose to the top of the gang, right? Because he had a level of forward thinking, right? There was a level of strategizing to his actions that kind of set him apart from the other 87s. He wasn't as wild and as reckless, right? He would clean up after himself, right? He would actually try and anticipate what would happen. If he went here and did this, then what might happen if them people do this? That was almost unusual at the time. Klansman was known for having some wild 87s. For them job was to turn up, fire a beer shot, and who dead, just dead. Simple as that. Hodges tried to strategize, not just to get over his victims who he's going to kill, but get over the security forces. Think of him as displaying some of the aspects of another 87 from Montego Bay, Delano Prekeboy Wilmer. Nevada Hodges was very similar in certain ways, and you're going to hear that further on in the video. Now, Hodges was a senior capo. In the gang, he had his own team, right? But even amongst the other capos, Hodges had a special level of respect. One of the reasons for this is because people used to admire how Hodges treated the 87 of them who were part of his team. This was a gang where the least little thing you do, you own a 87, you own a team, and you just kill and dash away. Hodges did not believe in that. Hodges believed it was better to beat a 87 than to kill a 87. As that make it easier for us maintain and work with somebody where you already know. And due to the fact that he would always make sure that them have clothes, them have food, them have money in them pocket, he essentially became these youths' father figure. They looked up to him like he was their daddy. And Hodges would treat them like they were his children. And what was most unusual is the fact that because so much youths did want to par with Hodges and join Hodges' crew, Hodges used to do some things and basically set them up to fail so they couldn't join the gang. Because Hodges used to believe, say, if a youth have certain potential, right, and a youth have certain talent, him shouldn't mix up in a badness. A perfect example is an 87 named Boise. Look at your screen right now. Hodges ended up meet Boise through his little brother named Lando, who we are going to hear about in this video. Right. But Boise did really rate Hodges. Boise looked up to Hodges. But Hodges never believed that Boise should have been mixed up in a badness. So one day, after being on the run, being in the bush, right, because as I said, Hodges was similar to Prekeboy. He thrived in the bush, right. Security forces couldn't catch him. Once him touched the bush, I that him gone, right. Hodges give Boise an M16 rifle and tell himself stay in a tree and watch the man them on the ground who was asleep. It was a test. See, Hodges was testing Boise because Hodges here said Boise did have dropsy. You know, a Jamaican called dropsy. So Boise have the M16 rifle in the tree and Hodges and the rest of teams 87 them asleep. As soon as them lock them eye, Hodges eat little time and then jump up. The Boise there. I'ma call Boise. Guess what? Boise burn a spliff and drop asleep in the tree with the rifle. So you know If the security forces were coming, the whole of them would have dead because Boise was supposed to be the lookout. That test Hodges that testing. Hodges draw Boise out of the tree, take off his belt, and beat him. He didn't stop there. Hodges then proceeded to use a wire he used to travel with and beat Boise, wet up his skin. Tell him say, him can't be in 87. This badness life is not for him. And if you go on him, I go and run him. That same Boise, he would later go on to become one of the most dangerous 87s right down at Sandy Bay and Old Harbour side. In the drop of jail, him a man a jail of things and them send road a road for killing parents, both of them, mother and father. So when him come a road, him decide that since him not no parents and him not nobody a live for, him a go make everybody suffer. Now, you might hear that, and I know some people already start to think, oh, this youth Nevada Hodges, man, sound like such a nice young man. Well, the people in from Central Village wouldn't say that. People in from Shelter Rock, Waterloo, Christian Pen, Brenton and them place there, they would not say that. See, Hodges led some operations through those communities that to this day, the level of destruction that him and his team rained down in those areas, families have never recovered. At no point in this video you should forget that Nevada Hodges was just as much of a killer as your JJ Nakis, your Sci-Fi, your Scott, your Budders, and people like that. Many people lose their loved ones, some for no reason at all other than being wrong place, wrong time when Hodges and Theme 87 passed through. Matter of fact, the operation that best sums up the dark side of Nevada Hodges, I will tell you closer to the end of this video. It is so extraordinary, it probably deserves a movie of its own. But let me focus on some other main stories you'd have heard about Hodges, and let me clear them up for you right now. Now some people, especially people from Spanish Town, will remember a time when it was said that Nevada Hodges was dead, long before 2011. What happened? Well, look at your screen. You see the young man you see on the left? That's Hodges' little brother. His name was Lando, and his nickname was Lando. The youth was the dead stamp of Hodges, looked just like him. Now, Nevada Hodges had an arch nemesis in the police force. The two of them were constantly at it. The name of that policeman was Half a Dog. Anyway, Half a Dog see Hodges, shut a fire, and anyway Hodges see Half a Dog, same thing. Two of them were constantly at each other's necks. Half a Dog want to kill Hodges badly, to the point where Hodges' little brother named Lando, who by now had grown up, as I said, same build like Hodges, look like him, and at the face, this is the best picture I could do, but everybody could tell you Lando looked just like DJ. DJ and Lando even started up on ops, because Lando, some of the ops I mentioned, Central Village, Shelter Rock, Lando was there. Start to hang on him brother, start mix up in a foolishness. However, somebody got tip off Half a Dog. Say them know when Nevada Hodges there. Half a Dog go for Hodges. At least he thought it was Hodges. It turns out it was Lando. Half a Dog killed Lando thinking it was Nevada Hodges. When him get back to Spanish Town, word start spread. Hodges dead. Half a Dog I say, yo, we just kill Hodges. Hodges was alive. Hodges didn't get the news, but that don't make no sense. How if he dead and me the writer so? I imagine that's what he's thinking. Then he got the bigger news. It's Lando. Half a Dog kill. As you can imagine, knowing Klansman, police or no police, it was time for retaliation. Remember the Nevada Hodges I just spoke about, who wreaked havoc in a central village shelter rack-on in place to make most people ball. Here was the chance for him get retaliation. What was retaliation? Well, I don't know if half a dog know this to this day, but the Klansman them find out where half a dog mother did I live. And them go to Nevada Hodges and tell him, say, listen, we find out which part his mother stay and we can go for her. Everybody expect Hodges, because again we're talking about one of the most violent members of the Klansman gang killing much people. Hodges' body count is simply too high for even bother try coming to a realistic figure. Everybody thinks that Hodges would jump at the opportunity. Instead, he said no. Hodges said to leave half a dog mother alone. The other Klansman them were stunned to the point where it even caused problem. Man start argue because what you mean? You mean no? The man kill a brother. Where that one? Hodges said no. Leave her alone. Him no want the mother. Him want half a dog. Very unusual for a Klansman at the time. Another infamous story surrounding Hodges was the news recording you heard at the start of this video. Because Thursday, March 10th, 2011 is a day that will forever live in infamy. It was the day Klansman launched an all-out attack on the Spanish Town police station. See, prior to the attack, they had lost some key members. Hodges lose his cousin JJ Nakis, and they also lost a senior 87 named Donovan Tapping, aka Don Tapping. Right, I think about 3 of them dead the week before the attack. It was Nevada Hodges who led that operation. Now when the smoke cleared, people were saying that move of them just pull off shows a Klansman is on a whole different level when it comes on the gangs. They had the entire police station surrounded by JDF the next morning. Soldiers were posted all around the station. But enough people never realized it was actually a smoke screen mission. See, Nevada Hodges and Tesha pull off a stunt that even enough of the lower ranking 87s them never even know about. In my JJ Nakis video, I mentioned that they did kill a JDF soldier, right? When him basically stray going to them place, go look for a kerosene, right? And him and JJ Nakis get in an argument, right? Him say to JJ say, you know I'm JDF, right? And JJ say, you know I'm J-Bad, right? Start shut up the JDF soldier. Dead. Take a Taurus off of him. They say that Taurus, it ended up causing a bigger problem in the system. Because one set of man want the Taurus because it's a trophy, because it come off a dead JDF soldier. And the next set of man them, they want nothing to do with it, because they know that anyway police catch them with that gun, them are go dead. Be a problem, the weapon a cause. And just like I mentioned in the JJ Nakis video, the security forces gave the senior members of Klansman one of the wickedest page anybody ever give them. This was not low level 87 getting the message, it was straight to the top. The leadership know what time it was. If that Taurus don't get returned, then we will see just how tough the Klansman gang and its members really are. If them think police and soldiers will hunt them before, what will go happen if the Taurus not come back? Well, you see, that attack on the police station, Nevada Hodges had a rifle, but he also had a special handgun in his waist. That handgun was the same Taurus them take from the JDF soldier, and in the process of Klansman shooting up the station, Hodges take out the Taurus and fling it in the station yard. So when them left and the smoke clear, the police them find the Taurus in the station yard. You see, as far as John Public was concerned, as far as enough 87s were concerned, as far as enough man who even take part in the ops were concerned, that was a moment of complete strength. When in reality, while flexing their muscles and showing just how brazen and vicious they could be, they were also appeasing the JDF and the security forces as a whole, right, by basically saying, you know what, there you go. Since you say this is going to happen, if you don't get it back, sit there. One of the biggest smoke screen missions Klansman ever pull off. And even to this day, enough people, even people inside the organization, don't know that's one of the ways Klansman did ease up some of the pressure for themselves. Because at the time, JDF did a swarm any area where them know say Klansman normally frequent. Now, while I'm still on the topic of Lando, after Lando dead, a youth was gloating, saw him make the Alpha Dog kill him. And he was telling people that him didn't know say it was Nevada Hodges. But him tell Alpha Dog say Hodges, knowing say Hodges and Alpha Dog were constantly at it. And him didn't know say, in the dark up at them place there was no way Alpha Dog could really tell the difference between Hodges and Lando. So him a gloat now after Lando dead, and him a talk loud enough for people here. And people did hear. The word get back to Hodges. Hodges then sent a team of Klansmen to go for the youth. The person who led this team was none other than Sci-Fi. Because at the time, obviously, there was no big division between the gang. So Sci-Fi and Shane and Burman, they go up there. When they go up at the yard, them find the youth who saw him tip off Alpha Dog. Them find the youth brother, and them fight the youth brother woman who had a baby. Them kill the youth. The same one will a gloat about helping to set up Lando. Them shut up the brother. This is where things get interesting. The man them then decides, you know what? Make them just kill the mother and the baby. Remember, I just the youth then go for originally, but then go up at the yard, people up there, including a mother and a young baby. Every man will point them gun upon the woman and her baby, them gun stick. Everybody I take turn for point them gun, and the gun them just a stick. No shot, no fire. The woman I brace herself for dead and no shot, no fire. Klansman start catch them afraid. Because remember, 87s believe in the science, heavy, believe in it strong. They were convinced, said the woman, guard up. Just like that, she survived. Talking about gun stick, let's go back to Chadiga Park. Remember I said Nevada Hodges was there? Well, when them go in at the house, the same house for them kill the pitney them and woman them. You see that house? There were actually a lot of children in the house. Not only was there the mother's children, but her daughter had her own set of children, a whole puppet in the house. When them go in and start kill, at one point them drag the mother in the bathroom, and every man who try to shoot the mother, again the gun them a stick. But on this occasion, somebody finally get it right, and they did kill the mother. But remember I told you Nevada Hodges had a duality to his personality, because the same Hodges are going at the house, pan a rampage to kill people. When the Klansman them done kill the woman them, shot somebody pitney them, when them realized that there was still about 4 or 5 kids left in the house, people like Badders, Bad From, right, certified brutes, came to the conclusion that the best thing to do was to kill the rest of the pitney them. And as they were about to shoot them, remember the man them already rest rifle at the little girl head and kill her. As they were about to kill the rest of the pitney them, one person in the house jump up and say, no, that's too far. That person was Nevada Hodges. His actions that day saved the life of those children. But his actions that day also led Klansman into the house, Sugar Butcher, the others. Do you see where I'm coming from when I tell you this youth was a complete enigma? Capable of excessive savagery, and in the same moment capable of extending mercy. This is why a lot of people around him could not understand Hodges. The same Chadiga Park operation, Hodges would later break down and cry constantly about the things that happened in the house. And the 87th in his team started to realize that as time go by, he was starting to increase his use of hard drugs. Yes, Hodges, just like James Hines, who he looked up to, had a Diet Coke problem. They would use it as a means, right, to cope and to get themselves ready to go on certain operations. But that wasn't enough to prevent Hodges from facing his demons. As I said, he wore his emotions on his sleeve. And people like Badders, who enjoyed talking about Chadiga Park and enjoyed telling people how him hear the woman named Ball and how the pitney them beg for their life, he found it funny. And whenever he would try and bring in Hodges on the joke, Hodges would walk off, or he would tell him to stop. Hodges was struggling to face his own actions. His demons were catching up on him. See, one minute Hodges was gathering up his team to go on certain operations and slay people 3, 4, 5, 6 at a time. And the next day, Hodges would be condemning violence and telling them that, listen, this life is stupid. There is no way we can continue living like this. His back and forth was confusing to his 87s. It was confusing to the people who know him. What does Nevada Hodges stand for? Is he a man of violence or is he a man of peace? They couldn't figure him out. See, one of the reasons why I had to leave this video for the end of the year is because I had to tell you about some of the major Klansman operations first. You see, remember the video I did on Charmaine Rattray and her daughter, Joef Lynch? When them find out, say, it was really Crab and him Kerosene who were behind the whole thing with Scott, and the women did not help set him up for him and take off him head, a lot of people in Klansman were very nonchalant about the whole thing. They were like, whatever, them done dead and gone already. What's the point of making a fuss? It was Hodges who gave out the orders that everybody who take part in the operation, as in the initial smoke screen, right, who go for Scott and then make it look like Star Teapot man them, Hodges ordered that the whole of them man there must dead. That is how man start to run. If it wasn't for Hodges, Crab and all of them knew them could have still stayed in the community. Other people in the gang were like, whatever, that's how it go. Hodges was disgusted. He couldn't believe the deception that led to the women losing their life. Let's look at another infamous story surrounding the life of Nevada Hodges. You would have heard he killed his baby mother because she had given born. See, Hodges used to tell the youth them around him, say, him feel same baby mother had given born. And if so be the case, he might go kill her. Here comes November 2011. I think it was November the 6th, 2011. Hodges' baby mother tell him, say, the taxi driver will normally carry them around. Anytime they want to go, she could have called him and him carry them. She told Hodges, said that she feels that the taxi man had tried to set him up because through the taxi man constantly know the location of Hodges because he was carrying them around. Right? She tell Hodges that she feels that the taxi man or work with people to set him up. Hodges, being as paranoid as he was at the time, decides to get rid of the taxi man. Go and read the story for yourself. Now it's going to start to make sense. Because you see the taxi man and Tiffany died at the same time. In the same vehicle and people were confused. Alright, him same level kill Tiffany. But why the taxi man did? Check this out. Hodges was behind the taxi man in the car. Tiffany was beside him. Hodges asked the taxi man to pull over because there was a second car behind him with Klansman them, and then after him kill the taxi man, him and Tiffany was supposed to get into that vehicle and left the taxi man on the side of the road. What happened next would go on to stun not just Hodges but the Klansman them that the car behind him for different reasons. See, as how Hodges sit down behind the taxi man, him start shoot the man and back of him head. One of the round them hit the taxi man's skull and go lodge in a Tiffany's neck. Yes, I finally have it confirmed from the right people. The same round, or one of the same rounds that hit the taxi man head, is the same round that killed Tiffany. Hodges, realizing say the shot lodge in a Tiffany neck, start to hug her up and start bawl. The Klansman them at the car behind, realizing say them hear the shot fire, or them hear the shot them fire, but them see Hodges a come out with Tiffany. When them go to the taxi man car, them find Hodges a hug up Tiffany and a bawl on top of him voice. Not crying, but him like bawl. They were confused because Hodges did attack say she a give him bun and him a go kill her. So them did that think, well, if she get shot, him shot her. So if him shot her, where am I going to suffer? Then Hodges start to scream after the man them say they need to carry her to the hospital cause him can't go cause him a wanted man, and at the time Spanish Town hot. Right, the hospital, BS security forces all over the place. Guess what? The man them in the car behind can't carry Tiffany either. Because them wanted to. Nobody could carry her. So she sit down in the car and bleed out. She sit down in the car, slowly lost her life before she could get any help. People were confused. But no Hodges kill her. The word on the street was Hodges kill her because she a give him bun, and in the same I go kill her, so him a go and suffer. The same round hit the taxi man in him head, it go lodge in a Tiffany's neck. To this day, the average person on the street will tell you that a Hodges shoot both Tiffany and the taxi man. Now I don't know if he was planning to kill her afterwards, but on that particular night, it was one round that hit both the taxi man and Tiffany Thomas. Hodges plan her 9 night, tell people say them have to go. Him got a 9 night pure morning. People were looking at him like this youth is a dangerous youth. Why am I behave like this? Why is he mourning so much that him kill her? It turns out actually was an accident. When the right people who do the right work realized that one round hit the two of them. But by then it was too late. The streets already have it. Hodges killing baby mother and then go a 9 night go ball and make a fool of himself. Now earlier in the video I said I was going to give you an example of just how cruel and sinister Hodges can be when he was in that mood. Some of you may remember, in Rivoli, there was a major shootout between Klansmen and the security forces. Who remember that? The incident happened early December 2011, not long before Hodges lost his life. People really want to know what went down that day? The Klansmen then planned an operation to go shoot up the Spanish Town Market. They gathered over Waterloo side, one final meeting before them set out. Hodges was the mastermind and the leader of that operation. Just like Chadiga Park, all of Klansman's most vicious murderers were in the same place at the same time, about to descend on Spanish Town Market. Them didn't want to go in there, go shoot up a bag of man. And naturally, once them go in a Spanish Town Market, no care who them go for, so much of them in a Spanish Town Market, innocent people were going to drop like fly. But listen to the treachery. The man them dress up in a JLP shirt. All of the Klansmen them were wearing green shirt with Babsy Grange picture on it. You see, them did want, when them carry out the attack, people will say it was done by one order. That would not just make one order look bad, but when the police and everybody are going to retaliate, I'm going to go for man, a one order would be under pressure. Now I have to admit, personally, people were giving Klansmen lots of credit for saying, they were smart and Hodges them were very tactical because them dressed up in a JLP shirt and them with a disguise. Personally, that couldn't work on me because I would not think there is a gang stupid enough to go up on an operation, go shoot up a market, kill much innocent people and wear the colours with the picture of them favorite MP. I don't think the police investigators would be so simple to fall for a trick like that, but Klansmen them thought it would work. Now, as they were gathering, all these brutal, vicious murderers, one place, one time, bunch of LIQs, obsessed with violence, guess what started to happen? The man them start argue over who forget which gun. Sci-fi same kill much people, Brothers are same kill much people. The man them start argue because everybody want the rifle them. Nobody no want a handgun. And man starts to listen. A long time me I do this. When you did it when time we go over here, so remember saying at T-Park, when time we shoot the pit them, you never do it. Remember say, argument a go on. During the entire thing, a resident was overhearing the argument. That resident called the police and tipped off the police that the Klansmen, the Waterloo, a plan an operation to go shoot up the Spanish Town Market. There's a saying, not all heroes wear capes. The actions of that individual that day saved countless lives, because after them done circle who go get which gun and which rifle, they would have head straight into Spanish Town and slaughtered countless people in the market. Remember, Nevada Hodges was at his wit's end by this point. He was cracking up. He was far more erratic than normal. He was telling people he knew he was going to die. He was telling people he knew same end near. This type of operation, with people like Sci-Fi and Brothers and all them there, you can only imagine the amount of blood we would have spilled. That resident, one resident, in a year when time them give out orders and medals and who forget trophies and who forget that, enough people in Jamaica, people who we don't know their names, people who just take up the phone one time, enough of those people are the real heroes in Jamaica, and we will never know their names. So the police then get tip off and decided that it was best we go meet them over Waterloo Lane side. Immediately shot start fire. Because the Klansman them not expect it. Right? Because them know say somebody here and tip off the police. Them now start run up and down. Right? Man all start run upon the riverbank over to Rivoli side. But you're the next problem. Because the whole gang did converge at Waterloo Lane. If things did go according to plan, the one them who were not familiar with the area would just get led, right? Go with them for go, shut up with them for shut up, and then go on at them yard. But because the police come meet them over Waterloo Lane side, and enough of them don't even know Rivoli, right? Because me say them start run upon the riverbank, some reach a Rivoli, right? One of them get shot and cut through St. Jago High School, right? Man I run up and down all about the place, so people get lost. Because the one them come from Larriston and them place there, them don't know over Rivoli side, them don't know over Waterloo Lane side. Man I run up and down. You see the idea for wear the JLP shirt them, it end up backfire upon them. Because guess what? Because now them are run for their life, right? Big shootout are gone, some run we gone, but some did have the shootout to the police. The shootout start from about midday and go straight back to evening. People supposed to remember that Pitney in St. Jago High School and can't left. Don't tell me Jamaica forget that, December 2011. St. Jago High School, parents are called. I said, I want me Pitney. Pitney can't left. PA shot a fire. So much shot fire as police had to send for police from town to come a Spanish town to come help reinforce them. Klansman run out a shot, right? Police start running a shot and have to send for more shot. It was total chaos. Total chaos because two them go buck up na the man them over there now, and police they behind them, right? And one set realized they can't get us, so them have to stay and shoot it out. Pure madness. There was a youth who end up over Rivoli. Boy have the AK in the house, and the way him afraid, the amount of shot the police them put on them the day. The way him afraid, him run going in our house, right? Him they get shot and injured in the house. Boy have the AK in there with him, I tremble like a leaf. When the Klansman them realize, say, hold on, where him there? When them call him tell them, say, him give them a vague description of the yard where him run going on. The Klansman them find a car and send go for him. The way the youth afraid, him couldn't even come out for going to the car. So the car park near to which part the youth there. Them a tell him to go outside, him say nah go, him afraid. Now carry them beg him on the phone to go outside, him say nah go. Shaking, trembling, too much shot fire, too much shot ringing in his ears. Even him have the AK side of him, couldn't do nothing with it. Police them end up finding him. Let's just say he's no longer here. But just know say Nevada Hodges played a major role in the operation. So when you're thinking about the fact that he spared the kids in Tredegar Park and he was so hell-bent on getting some kind of street justice for Charmaine Watry, and him call off the attack on Doggy mother, half a dog mother. Just remember there was also that side to Nevada Hodges, which is why I said the youth was a complete enigma. Now how did Hodges die? This is probably the most infamous story surrounding Nevada Hodges. Look to clear it up. The big shootout between the security forces and Klansmen took place on, I think it was December the 7th, right? Wednesday, December the 7th. And even though enough of the Klansmen did get away, the security forces never stopped hunting them. There were constant skirmishes between Hodges and Feem Seta Youth them and the police and JDF. At one point, the security forces start to drive round in some pro box, right? And then they would pull up on the Klansman them and catch them, and anywhere they catch them, you know that guy ready. So the Klansman them started to respond by any pro box with them see, and them can't immediately identify who drive it, them shoot it up. Alpha Dog was also known for driving in a pro box. And the same day Tesha Miller's sister dead, Alpha Dog and Hodges them did in a shootout. Hodges empty him gun in a Alpha Dog car. To this day, I don't know Alpha Dog still alive. You see, Tesha Miller's sister was in a pro box, and because the place is tense, them a rush to go home. And the car go take the corner on a piece of speed, but convince the Klansman them say a police or JDF a come again. And the gang shoot up the car and kill Tesha Miller's sister. Yes, you heard me correctly, the gang. This story is mostly known as Hodges shooting Tesha Miller's sister. No, and enough of them open fire upon the car. Badders and them man they did a help shoot up the car. So now, Tesha Miller's sister, right, the Don sister, end up get caught in the frost fire, right? Renice James dead. So you know people in a problem. So you are probably familiar with the story that at this point, Tesha Miller say Hodges must dead because of Hodges killed his sister. Again, we will clear it up. What actually happened was Tesha link Hodges from jail and tell him say he must give up all of the man them who shoot up the car, so a next set of Klansmen can kill them because obviously them kill him sister. Hodges told Tesha no. A matter of fact, the only problem Tesha and Hodges have over the years was every time Tesha tried to tell Hodges to kill one of them 87 them, Hodges told him no, better me just beat him. Tesha never really liked that, but the other incidents them, they were minor, but this time I'm sister. And I'ma tell Hodges say kill the boy them. Hodges said no. Not only did he say no, he said no in a way that was very disrespectful to Tesha. Hodges basically started tell Tesha on the phone and say, listen, know who you are talk to. Things say me this and things say me that. Right. Watch your mouth and you know, he basically like he tell Tesha Miller tough chat. So you might have heard that there was some kind of rift and Hodges was trying to take over Klansman and become the Don. That was never the case. The rift in Klansman between Tesha and Hodges was always about Hodges not taking orders and killing him 87 of them when Tesha gave the word. So now Tesha realized that Hodges not taking a talk and Hodges would not give up the 87 of them for dead because he wanted somebody. He wanted people for dead for what happened to his sister. Even though them that tried to convince him say it was an honest mistake, he didn't care. Tesha make man dead for less than that, much as his sister dead, it simply was unacceptable. So now, Tesha started calling around and I tell the Apex 87 them, or he was trying to get the Apex 87 them to go kill Hodges. You know what them do? People start lock off them phone. Once the first man get the call and him get come up with female excuse, him start make the rest of man them know say listen, Tesha look for man to get rid of Hodges. As I said, Hodges was highly rated, and plus he already saved the rest of the Klansman them by telling Tesha say him nah kill them. So now they're even more loyal to him. Enough people rate the move when he make, telling Tesha Miller say no, him nah kill the man them. Hodges' status amongst the gang increased. Them rate him before, but them rate him even more now. Here he was telling Tesha Miller no. So man start lock out them phone, man start make up the excuse, right? Say them have court and them can't go this on, or them can't come across cause police have them in a bush a hide and all kind of excuses because they did not want to kill Nevada Hodges. So there were two set of men in the clans. One set who did not want to kill Hodges because them rate him, and the next set did afraid. So who end up kill Nevada Hodges? Tesha Miller realized wanted a man don't want to smoke with Hodges because again he was at Apex 87. This youth was a cold-blooded murderer. Now look at 87 now want to go test him. And the next set of man them who were brave enough to go kill him never want to do it because them rate him. So who did Tesha get to carry out the ops? Well, before me tell you that, I have to tell you this. In the days leading up to his death, Nevada Hodges went to a funeral home and paid for his own funeral. Hodges was so convinced he was going to die. He was constantly telling people saying he can feel him dead. Him know it a come. And because he no want putting a burden upon him mother and a stress upon the body, he went to a funeral home and paid for his funeral in advance. But right before he lost his life, Hodges take back the money. Hodges take back the money from the funeral home, the same funeral home that him pay. Right? Say him funeral come and him no matter dead. Hodges take back the money right before him dead too. See, Hodges was geared up. Hodges, like most 87s, believe that the science strong. Hodges used to have a little black bag where him parried. And he used to tell man say one of the reasons why half a dog them can't kill him is because every time they see him, they must see two him, they must see three him, and obviously this is what Hodges I tell people, and well, everybody believe it, everybody accept it because he wasn't dying. No matter what them do, they couldn't kill Hodges. In reality, Hodges was very confident when he had his guard. Very sharp, very skilled, as I said. He operated similar to Precky Boy, very effective in the bush. Hodges lose him guard, them thief Hodges guard. When him said that, he was more convinced, same days done. The feared, ruthless Klansman killer Nevada Hodges spent his final days telling people say he might go dead. And he would constantly break down and cry and tell people that he deserves to die. Hodges tell the closest people around him that anyway him dead, him deserve it. Because some of the things he has done, right, him don't deserve to live. Hodges will also tell people that him want dead because him tired for run from police. Hodges say him tired for sleep in a bush, or for dig hole and sleep in a hole when rain fall, mud wash down on him. Him see civilization. He had all this money because Hodges was one of the richest members in the clans. He had all this money and him couldn't spend it. Him and him girl couldn't just walk go down the road go buy something. Them couldn't just walk go to the shop. Hodges was condemning bad man life in his final days. He was telling all the youths around him, listen, this is foolishness, this is no way to live. We have all this fame, have all reputation, have all this money and can't spend it, can't go nowhere. Right, every minute we have to run from police, JDF want to kill me. There's no way to live. Hodges will also beg people around him to make sure say please him pitting them don't get involved in the badness. Him don't want none of him pitting them if you come live like this. This is the same man who to this day, just him name, make enough people blood run cold because of some of the things them what he has done. But in his final days, just like Cedric Doggy Murray, he became a big advocate against bad man life. He thought the whole thing was stupid. He thought it simply didn't make sense if they were claiming that money was their motivation, right? And reputation was their motivation, and they want fame and they want all these things. And when them get the fame, when they get reputation and then get the money, them can't enjoy it because them can't even walk through Spanish Town Square and police and shut off at them. Them can't walk in a car dealership and buy a car. Them can't jump on a plane and go foreign, go shop. Simply didn't make sense. Hodges was right. He was about to die. Tesha Miller find somebody who was willing to mash the works. He hired a member of the JDF. Seeing that him own 87 them a itch. Clearly some of them they afraid of him. Tesha went and got a rogue JDF soldier. The night him kill Hadjies. As soon as Hadjies come within range, one shot, one kill. Just like that, Nevada Hadjies was dead. Once Hadjies was dead, the clansman them suddenly found them strength. Some of them go over there, go put more rounds in him, even though he was dead. The JDF soldier killed him immediately. But, you know, as me say, them suddenly get brave now. This group of clansmen are the group of people who dissect Hadjies, take off him head. Do you want to know who were the people, or who was one of the main people who did it? I help dissect Nevada Hadjies. None other than the infamous Ratus Kratos. Yes, they da help take off head and all kind of things. Them carry Hadjies head go at the commercial center in a Spanish town. Right now the square, everybody can see it. And them carry him body down towards the Spanish town bypass. Just like Hadjies predicted, his end was as gruesome as his life. Now for those of you who have a stronger stomach, you can go on the website politicswash.com and you will see Hadjies body at the bypass, and you will see his head on the ground. You'll also see the news clippings in full, you know, the ones where you heard at the start of this video. Check it out if you want to. And I want to mention something else. Killing Hadjies was one of the biggest blows Tesha Miller had to his reputation, because everybody felt he went too far, and because Hadjies was so popular, even though at the time, right, it was really black man had more rank officially in Tesha eyes than Hadjies. But as for the 87s, them did rate Hadjies more. And when Tesha get him out like that, that was when enough people realized just how devious the system was. Because man, did I say, if Hadjies can go like that for something where wasn't even deliberate, imagine what would happen to the rest of them. A matter of fact, the same black man would use Hadjies incident as an example of why Tesha Miller should not be the leader, even though he agreed with killing Hadjies. Because remember, two of them did at jail. Black man used to tell the man them say, look what Tesha do Hadjies. Or if you work with somebody like that, look how much things Nevada Hadjies do for the system, and look how Tesha get rid of him. He's not a good leader. Enough people who were fond of Hadjies agreed. So when it was time to make the switch, Hadjies helped play a role in making some man go towards black man. So now you understand why I say clansman was so destructive that even them can't find an external enemy, them turn around and devour themselves. When I tell you the clansman trial is about to be the mother of all trials, Jamaica cannot afford to lose that one. The justice system cannot afford to lose that one. You know, I heard Richie, you know Richie, one of the leaders of the factions in Klansman. I heard Richie say, he might look for me and he might go make me vanish anytime he find me. Can you believe that? See, most of you wouldn't know this, but the police actually go pick up Richie. Them couldn't charge him for nothing, right? But them just make him know, say, them know about him now. Them know what him look like now. And him in the system now. Richie, I throw the blame for me. Richie, I tell him 87s them say, or the people them around him say, and me load him up, because most people never know about him. And if you already know about him, never know say him they get so powerful. So right now, Richie, is upset. Richie wants to cast me in some pit somewhere, like the hundreds of Jamaicans who Klansman kill and bury and dash me and throw and rear Cobra all over the place. So right now I just want to send a special shout out to Richie. Will you say Mr. Big Dan? You're gonna make me disappear? Alright then. I guess my new nickname is Abracadabra. Patreon squad, big up on yourself. PIA, you don't know. More life. Vulture squad, stay circling. Videos about an hour long. There's bound to be some scraps in there you can feed off from. People, stay safe. Bless.